Hello, and thank you for attending the Distance Learning Consortium Hot Topics. My name is Ginny Joseph, and I work at the Orange County Department of Education. I will be speaking about behavior support in the virtual classroom. By the end of this module, you will understand the importance of acknowledging student effort for practicing and engaging in relevant skills. Those could be social skills, mindfulness skills, academic skills. It includes anything we really want to see students engaging in on a regular basis right now. I will also highlight the importance of acknowledgement in building social emotional skills, relationships, and how this pertains to trauma-informed classrooms. As a welcome activity, I invite you to reflect on a time of day that is particularly challenging. It could be a certain subject matter that you're teaching where students aren't engaged, or maybe they aren't responding as frequently as you would like. Alternatively, think about a group of students or an individual student who you have not yet formed a connection with. Take a moment to jot down one or two thoughts, and we will return to this at the end of the module. The concept in today's module relates to the inclusive behavior instruction feature of the California MTSS framework, but will also overlap with the inclusive social emotional instruction feature. One of the most powerful tools we can use to improve behavior and relationships, as well as create a positive and welcoming school environment, is to use feedback and acknowledgement on a regular basis. Over the next few minutes, I will review information relating to the most effective delivery of behavior-specific praise statements, including how to set yourself up for using the statements and determining how often you are using the strategy. But before I turn to that, think about the last time somebody gave you positive feedback. It could have been during a work meeting, an unexpected text message from a friend you hadn't heard from in a while, or maybe a note that came in the mail, or perhaps somebody delivered a special snack or coffee drink as a thank you. Now think about how that acknowledgement made you feel. Chances are you experienced a sense of satisfaction for doing something that another person appreciated. Receiving their acknowledgement likely made you feel more connected to that person. The outcome of that feedback and acknowledgement, the connection and relationship, is what makes this such an important component to pay attention to in our schools and classrooms. There are some main features of behavior-specific praise that make it especially effective in relaying feedback and acknowledgement. The first step is to clearly describe what is expected and be on the lookout for those behaviors. Ideally, these are expectations that the school or classroom community has developed and agreed upon together. Set the students up for engaging in the behaviors you want to see within a particular context by talking about, teaching, practicing, and reminding students of those behaviors. Then make sure you notice when they exhibit those skills and say something right away. The second step is to provide feedback on the effort made or accomplishment in demonstrating the skill. Feedback must also be authentic in tone and delivery. The last component of behavior-specific praise is to keep the positive to corrective feedback at a ratio of 5:1. The research around this ratio comes from John Gottman and his work at the Gottman Institute, where they discovered the difference between a happy and unhappy relationship and whether or not the relationship would last. And that had to do with the number of positive to negative interactions the couple experienced. In the school setting, adults tend to perceive themselves as far more positive than students report, and behavior-specific praise is observed to be an underutilized tool. As educators, we must realize the importance of this powerful and simple and be able to easily determine how often we are using it. In the resource document, we linked information to a free application you can download to your phone, but you can also simply keep a tally of how many positive to negative interactions you had during a given time period to make sure you are on track. Here are some examples and non-examples of behavior-specific praise statements. In the left-hand column, you can read the behavior-specific components, and they are much more personal than a blanket statement like those in the right-hand column. All of the examples are personalized to a specific individual, but you could also modify a behavior-specific praise statement to be for the whole class by saying something like, "Thank you all for logging in on time. It is respectful of everybody's time when we can get started right away." Identifying the skills that are important for the context is the first step in setting up for providing feedback and acknowledgement. Given our current context of living, teaching, and learning during a pandemic, what are the important skills to prioritize and encourage? What skills will help students to be successful and meet their needs? Some skills that come to mind might include respect others' culture, opinions, and viewpoints, make time for exercise and sleep, keep email login information private, and think kind thoughts about yourself. Some schools have already developed school-wide values and expectations and use that as a way to systematically teach relevant skills within different routines. This is an example of a school that has responsible, respectful, and safe as their expectations, and they are teaching what those expectations look like across synchronous learning, asynchronous learning, special virtual events, and managing emotions in general. The school can then layer in and emphasize the skills depending on student need. Additionally, these skills overlap with some of the CASEL competencies mentioned in Module 1. There are many benefits to using behavior-specific praise when delivering feedback and acknowledgement. It takes very little time or effort, does not disturb or distract from instructional time, and is free. The research is clear that noticing the behavior you want to see will lead to more of that behavior to occur. Pay attention to what you want to see, and then there will be less unexpected or unwanted behavior. Perhaps the most encouraging benefit, especially during these times, is the improved self-esteem and relationships when teachers use behavior-specific praise at high rates of positive to corrective statements. With regard to a trauma-informed approach, feedback and acknowledgement aligns with creating trauma-informed schools and classrooms. Key principles related to trauma-informed approaches include creating a sense of safety, trust, and transparency. As previously mentioned, providing regular feedback to students strengthens relationships. When we think back to the CASEL competencies, feedback and acknowledgement fits into the relationship skills competency. By using this strategy, we both foster and model one way to build relationship. Let's take a moment to talk about putting this into action. A tool to use tomorrow as a first step is to determine the ways in which your students like to receive feedback. Do they like to be acknowledged in front of the whole class? Do they like to receive a private chat message or email? Do they like to earn special privileges or tangible items? You may choose to do a simple all-class web poll during your next synchronous session with your students to get a sense of what most students like, or you can create an electronic survey to capture individual responses. Given this information, think back to the welcome activity reflection where you identified a challenging time during your day or a group of students you would like to build a connection with. We invite you to make a commitment to remind or teach students of an important skill or expectation and use behavior-specific praise during that challenging time or with that group of students. Be sure to measure and reflect on the response. Thank you for attending this hot topic on behavior support in the virtual classroom. Take care of yourself and be well.